Chapter 2. The grand royal foyer was bathed in the flickering glow of candlelight, but the warmth did nothing to soften the tension crackling in the air. Tilly sprinted through the arched entryway, her breath hitching, tears streaking down her face. "Mother! Father!" she cried, her voice breaking as she skidded to a halt before them. The king strode forward, his expression thunderous, arms crossed tightly over his chest. Beside him, the queen moved more hesitantly, sorrow etched into her every step. Tilly's heart pounded as she took another step closer, searching their faces for any hint of denial, for any reassurance that this was all some cruel misunderstanding. "It's all true," she demanded, her voice trembling. "How could you do this?" The queen averted her gaze, silent and grief-stricken. The king, however, exhaled sharply, his jaw set in iron. "Enough of this madness," he snapped, his voice low but firm. Tilly flinched at the finality in his tone. "We will not speak of this here," the king continued, his piercing gaze sweeping over the vast foyer. "This is no place for such revelations. We need to move somewhere secure, where the guards will stand sentry outside the doors." His words were not a suggestion. Tilly swallowed hard, the weight of betrayal pressing down on her chest. She had come demanding answers. Instead, she was met with walls even higher than the castle's stone towers. And worse, her own parents were the ones who had built them. The parlor was eerily silent, save for the muffled crackle of the fireplace. Tilly stood near the edge of the room, hands clasped tightly before her, her heart a storm of emotions. The king loomed beside the queen, his arms crossed, his expression an iron mask of fury. The queen, however, gazed at Tilly with sorrow deep in her eyes, her lips pressed into a thin line. Tilly took a shaky breath, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mother! Father! I cannot comprehend that my own parents would abandon a child." Her words trembled with disbelief. "I need answers." The queen exhaled, a weary sigh heavy with regret. "I am so sorry, my dear," she said softly. "I cannot imagine the pain this revelation has caused you." Tilly searched her mother's face for something, anything, to make this easier to understand. "But you must understand," the queen continued, "when you and your sister were born, we followed royal custom. The 5 high mage elves foresaw your sister's future. As the eldest, she was meant to rule." The queen hesitated, as if the words pained her. But the vision they saw was dark. Tilly's breath hitched. "They feared she would bring harm, not only to you, but to the entire kingdom." Tilly's body stiffened. A sister. A sister she had never known. A sister who had been cast away before she even had a chance to exist in this world. "So before the world even knew you had a sister." The queen's voice wavered. "We sent her to a kind farmer's doorstep, hoping she would be raised well, away from prophecy." A cold wave of shock crashed over Tilly. She barely had time to process the words before the king spoke, his voice sharp with anger. "And yet, somehow, she has been raised in Duskmoor, by their very king and queen." His fists clenched at his sides. "This means someone must have betrayed us." Tilly swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the revelation settle deep in her chest. "A spy," the king continued, his eyes burning with fury. "Someone who knew of your sister's lineage must have taken her from that farmer's home." He exhaled sharply. "They have raised her as a weapon against us." Tilly's stomach twisted. "They seek to pit Etherwyn and Duskmoor against each other," the king finished, his voice like thunder. Tilly stood frozen in place, her thoughts spiraling. Her sister. A shadow in the past. A threat in the present. She barely knew her, yet the truth of her existence had shattered everything Tilly had ever believed. Tilly changed into her nightgown, the soft fabric doing little to comfort the storm raging inside her. As she stepped into her chamber, the weight of it all crashed down on her. She barely made it to the edge of her bed before the emotions she had been holding back all evening broke free. For an hour, she cried. Silent tears. Angry tears. Heartbroken sobs. She felt betrayed. By the very people who were supposed to love her unconditionally. She felt hurt. For the sister she had never known. She felt lost. As if the walls of her own home had suddenly become unfamiliar, as if Etherwyn itself had shifted beneath her feet. By the time her tears subsided, her eyes were swollen, her throat raw, her body heavy with exhaustion. Yet sleep refused to come. How could she close her eyes knowing her entire life had been a lie? How could she rest when the future of Etherwyn teetered on the edge of uncertainty? The pain, the betrayal, the fear of what was to come clung to her like a shadow. Tilly took a deep, trembling breath. She needed something to ground her, something to remind her of who she was beyond the chaos. She reached for the book resting on her bedside table, her enchanted healthy affirmations book. The one she had charmed herself. As she opened its pages, a soft glow emanated from within, filling the dimly lit chamber with a gentle warmth. Magic infused every word, reminding her of what truly mattered. Her fingers traced the illuminated text as she began to read. Do more of what makes you healthily happy without waiting for hope to arrive. Treat yourself the way you treat your loved ones. Have healthy confidence but not egotistical. Even when you're sad, happy things happen every day. Manifestation tip: live your life as if all your wishes have come true. Choose love over fear, faith over fear, hope over fear. Ask for help. Have healthy self-care. Trust your intuition. Survival mindset or abundance mindset? Be true to yourself and to others, as magical events can happen. Happy things happen every day. Progress, not perfection. Forgive yourself for self-critical thoughts. Ask for positive wishes and experiences for yourself. You are enough. Doing more of what makes you healthily happy just as you are will then compound and lead you to unexpected, serendipitous avenues in your life. Have healthy self-respect, healthy assertiveness, and healthy boundaries. Reduce maladaptive coping mechanisms that don't make you healthily happy and are harming you. Embrace healthy coping strategies that don't harm you and make you happy. Look for respect in a healthy romantic relationship. Self-therapy: write down your problems and worries as if they happened to someone else. Gently overcome sadness and be kind to yourself like you would to a friend. Flowers still bloom regardless of each other's beauty. Be a perfectionist in a healthy way without it harming you and limiting your dreams. Try not to self-criticize for feeling sad or tired. Healthily validate your emotions like you would to a friend. Reduce toxic positivity. Balance and moderation are key while also being authentically you and compassionate. Be kind to yourself. Unfurl like a fern even without warm sunlight. Reduce being addicted to your sorrows. Trust that it will get better. Reduce people-pleasing because even if you are being fake or being the real you, not everyone will be pleased either way. This is why it's important to stay true to you. It will lead you to serendipitous events in life that align with you. This is why it's important to stay true to you. It will lead you to serendipitous events in life that align with you. Try not to be ashamed to look at the world through a romantic lens in a balanced way. Optional. Try to pray to the divine, angels, compassionate spirits, and compassionate deities for guidance. Angels' guidance through your intuition. calling from the divine and angels through your intuition. She closed the book, holding it to her chest as she exhaled deeply. The world outside still carried its burdens, but within her, a quiet strength began to stir. She wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring. But for now, in this moment, she allowed herself to breathe. Chapter 3. The next morning, Tilly was summoned by her parents with great urgency. Sleep had been a cruel trickster the night before, slipping through her grasp no matter how hard she tried to calm her thoughts. Every time her eyes fluttered shut, the darkness brought visions of Etherwyn in ruins. Fire licking the sky. Shadows creeping through the castle halls. Her loved ones calling her name, only to be swallowed by the abyss. She drifted in and out of restless slumber, tormented by nightmares of war and betrayal. And now, as she stood before her parents once more, her heart felt heavier than ever. What urgent matters did they wish to discuss? Her father, the king, took a slow, measured breath before speaking. "Thank you for coming to see us earlier than usual, Tilly. We wouldn't have disturbed your rest if it weren't for dire news." Tilly straightened at his tone, a sense of unease curling in her stomach. "Many people from our kingdom have been kidnapped overnight," he continued, his voice laced with sorrow. "And among them is your friend, Cove." The words struck her like a physical blow. "What?" Tilly gasped, her breath hitching in her throat. "Kidnapped? Innocent people stolen from their homes? And Cove?" She shook her head, unable to fully grasp it. "Cove, missing. Taken. This had to be Sage's doing. There was no other explanation. But why? How could she?" Her thoughts spiraled, a storm of fear and confusion crashing inside her. Her father's voice cut through her haze. "Your friends, Fable and Callum, are downstairs. They have also heard of Cove's disappearance. You may speak with them later if you wish." Tilly barely nodded, her mind still reeling. "But for now," the king continued, his expression grim, "your mother and I must address another pressing matter." Tilly braced herself as he went on. "Since these kidnappings began, there is no doubt that Duskmoor is demanding a forced allegiance upon us." A chill ran down her spine. Her father's expression softened, though only slightly, as he exchanged a look with the queen. "Since Sage's ominous declaration, your mother and I have decided that for your protection, we are assigning you a knight to stay by your side at all times, wherever possible." Tilly's breath caught. A knight? A personal knight? Assigned to her? It felt too sudden. Too serious. The king turned toward the door, his voice firm. "Guards! Let the knight in." Tilly swallowed hard as the doors swung open. Tilly turned around, her heart pounding in anticipation. As her eyes landed on the knight assigned to protect her, she gasped in delighted surprise. It was Aster. Dressed in his gleaming armor, he looked handsome. No, beyond handsome. The way the polished metal fit perfectly around his broad frame, sculpting his strength. The tousled waves of his hair, somehow effortlessly charming despite the weight of the moment. The faint stubble on his face, adding an air of ruggedness. And his eyes, focused, unwavering, fearless. Oh no. Had she just gone from a slight crush on Aster to a full-on crush? And now, he was her knight. Assigned to protect her. No. She couldn't think about this now. Not when everything was crumbling around them. Who knew if any of them would have time for love, or crushes, anymore? Swallowing the sudden warmth that rose in her chest, she forced a smile. Aster. So glad to see you, she exclaimed, stepping closer. But her excitement faded into worry. Have you heard about what's been happening? About the kidnapping, about Cove? Aster's expression darkened. Unfortunately. Tilly crossed her arms, studying him. Looks like you're moving up the ranks, even in this dire situation. Aster exhaled, his shoulders heavy with the weight of duty. Yeah, though I'd have wished for it to happen under better circumstances. But there's nothing we can do now. A voice interrupted them. Tilly, you are no longer safe here. The queen stood before her, sorrow and urgency etched into her face. Tilly turned fully to face her mother, uncertainty tightening in her chest. You must disguise yourself and journey with Aster to seek counsel from the great sorcerer Valorian and his 3 wise mages, the queen continued. You can't wear these royal clothes for now. Tilly's breath hitched. But what about you both? What about Callum, Fable, and Cove? How are you all safe here? Her father, the king, stepped forward, his voice steady but grim. We will be prepared for war if it comes to it. He hesitated before adding, but you are the main target. As the next queen of Etherwyn, the kingdom of the Fae, they will come for you first. The words sent a chill through her. Her heart pounded. Her breath caught in her throat. A war? Her kingdom at stake? And her own sister, wanting her dead? It was too much. Fear twisted in her stomach. She wasn't ready for this. But Fable and Callum. Tilly straightened. But I have to say goodbye to Fable and Callum first. Her father gave a firm nod. Go. Hurry. Then he turned to Aster. The great sorcerer Valorian and his 3 wise mages will help us in the coming war. Aster, you know what to do, and all the provisions to take? Aster bowed slightly. Yes, your highness. The queen stepped forward, her voice trembling as she looked at Aster. Please, take great care of my baby, Tilly. I definitely will, your highness, Aster assured her. Tilly's throat tightened. Even though I am fuming about what you did to Sage. She whispered. Please know that I still love you and care about you both. The queen sobbed softly, her composure breaking. The king remained solemn, though sorrow flickered in his gaze. Tilly hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward and wrapping her arms around her mother. Oh, my sweet Tilly. The queen murmured, holding her tight. Tilly then turned to her father, embracing him as well. This might be the last time I ever hold them like this. The weight of everything pressed down on her, fear, love, anger, and the unknown. Please, stay safe. The queen whispered. The king lifted a hand in farewell. It is time. Go now. Tilly took a deep breath and turned away, her fate sealed. Chapter 4. The tea room was filled with a heavy silence, broken only by the occasional sniffle. Aster stood with his arms crossed, shifting awkwardly, while Tilly mirrored his stance beside him. Across the room, Fable sobbed quietly, her shoulders trembling, while Callum stood beside her, his expression drawn with sorrow. Tilly hesitated before stepping forward, her movements slow, deliberate. She crossed the room to where Fable stood and wrapped her arms around her friend in a comforting embrace. Fable clung to her, her sobs muffled against Tilly's shoulder. After a moment, Tilly moved to Callum, pulling him into a similar embrace. He hesitated briefly before returning the gesture, his arms tense but grateful. As she stepped back, Tilly turned to address them both. Me and Aster will find answers, she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. We are to go to the great sorcerer Valorian and the 3 wise mages for guidance and help. Fable's breath hitched, her hands clenching at her sides. Cove has been taken, and innocent people too? Her voice wavered as she shook her head in disbelief. What are we to do? Tilly took a deep breath before continuing, her voice laced with sorrow. It pains me to say this, but Aster and I are here to say our goodbyes to you both before we start our journey. Fable gasped, her eyes wide with shock. Callum stiffened beside her, exchanging a glance with her before speaking. My friends are at stake, Fable declared, her tone resolute. I should come with you too. Callum nodded. It would be dangerous. I will come too. No. Tilly's protest came sharply, her expression etched with concern. Both of you cannot come. What would your parents and siblings say about this? Fable let out a heavy sigh, shaking her head. I can discreetly say my goodbyes without letting them know I am leaving. I will leave a letter explaining that I have gone with you, Princess Tilly, Aster, and Callum, to save the kingdom. Callum nodded in agreement. Then I shall do the same for my family too. Tilly's expression softened, sadness flickering in her eyes. Oh, Fable. Callum, this journey will be dangerous. But I know your hearts are set on this. Aster, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke, his voice laced with unease. I'm only one knight, he admitted, crossing his arms. How am I to protect you two as well as Tilly? Fable met his gaze with determination. Aster, you're the best swordsman in your training class. Callum nodded in agreement. Yeah, if there's anyone we trust with our lives, it's you. Tilly offered a reassuring smile. And besides, we will carry swords as well, just in case. We won't be helpless. Aster sighed heavily. Their determination was unwavering, but battle was not a game. Fable's voice softened. We are not asking you to carry this burden alone, Aster. We will fight if we must. We want to protect the kingdom too. Callum stepped forward, his expression serious. If you were in our place, you wouldn't just sit back and wait either. Aster clenched his jaw, his gaze flickering between them. They were right. If the roles were reversed, he wouldn't hesitate to fight. And they would come, no matter what he said. Finally, he sighed, running a hand through his hair. Fine, he conceded. But if you two are coming, then you will listen to every command I give. No reckless heroics, understood? Fable and Callum exchanged a quick glance before nodding enthusiastically. Understood. Fable said with a grin, bouncing on her feet. Callum chuckled. Wouldn't dream of it. Tilly laughed softly. Looks like we're all in this together. May the fates guide us. Aster exhaled slowly, his expression unreadable. Fates help me. I hope I made the right choice, Aster thought. Darkness, thick and endless. Cove's body felt heavy, as though unseen chains were dragging him deeper into the abyss. A dull ache throbbed in his head, pulsing in time with his unsteady heartbeat. Where am I? Slowly, his senses returned. The rough stone beneath him was cold, unyielding. The air hung damp and thick with the scent of earth and something else, something unfamiliar. With great effort, he forced his eyes open. At first, there was only darkness. Then, flickering shadows danced along jagged cavern walls. A murmur of voices echoed from somewhere nearby, low, hushed, plodding. His heart pounded as he strained to make sense of his surroundings. He was not alone. The figures around him bore the familiar look of Etherwin's people. We must have been taken. Pushing himself upright, Cove steadied his footing against the cold stone floor. The cavern narrowed into a tunnel ahead. There. An opening. He moved forward quickly, determined, but before he could reach it, something slammed into him. An unseen force, relentless and brutal, shoved him backward. Magic. Pain exploded through his back as he barely managed to keep himself upright. His vision swam as he gritted his teeth. Before him, a shimmering barrier flickered into existence, glowing runes pulsing along its surface. An enchanted seal. No doubt, a cruel trick of the Duskmoor people. Or worse, her. Rage flared hot and uncontainable. She did this. Tilly's sister, Sage. A growl rose in his throat as he slammed his fist against the barrier. Nothing. Not even a flicker. He was trapped. They all were. And fury was all he had left. You've all tried it earlier, a voice spoke softly behind him. For those of us who were conscious, but there's no use. Cove turned. A young woman stepped toward him, her expression uncertain. She carried herself with a quiet strength, yet there was a sadness in her gaze. They've trapped us here for the king and queen of Etherwind to notice, she said, crossing her arms as if bracing herself. Cove exhaled exhaustedly and sharply. Of course they have. You must be Mr. Cove Nightvale, she continued, studying him. Your family is close to the royal family, aren't they? He nodded. Yes, I am. I'm Sonnet, she introduced herself. Just one of the regular folk of Etherwyn. Cove's gaze flickered over to her. Regular or not, we're in the same position now. The Duskmoor people left us food and water, Sonnet explained. They're keeping us alive as leverage. I can get you some if you need. It doesn't matter where I stand in the hierarchy, Cove said, shaking his head. I'm trapped here just the same as you. So please, just call me Cove. No need for formalities. Sonnet gave a small nod. We must be similar in age, he added. How old are you? I'm 20. Same here. All right, Cove said, shifting his stance. Let's check on the others. I'll grab food and water on the way. With that, he moved toward the rest of the captives, Sonnet following close behind.